Welcome speakers to the second finals debate. My name is Jaime Rodriguez and I will be your moderator.
My name is El Huerta and I will be your director.
We will now be proceeding to roll call. Please answer present when you hear your name.
Speaker Roberta María Cantú Elizondo.
Present.
Speaker Luana Rodríguez Solís.
Present.
Speaker Marco Antonio Dávila Nieto.
Present.
Speaker María Camila Rojas Herrera.
Present.
And Speaker Esperanza García Cirillo.
Present.
Thank you, speakers.
We will now be starting the initial speech round of the debate. You will be having 3 minutes per team to state your position, and the first team to pass will be the yes team or the in favor team. So, yes team, your time starts now.
Thank you. We strongly believe that the government can have justification for censoring speech. Fake media and news has been a rising issue, and we stand by the fact that the government should be allowed to censor it. All because of division, hate speech has become very common, not only in anonymous internet, but publicly in the media. This should be censored, and it is justified. Also, many platforms such as Pinterest have to constantly watch and protect their users and servers. For example, the 2018 Pinterest vaccine panic. That had to be censored for the good of the people using Pinterest. Anthony Julius, lawyer and author, wrote a study supporting the justification of censorship in media. This study is backed up by a lot of previous studies. As a team, we would also like to state that we totally support our position and will further elaborate later on, and we look willing to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. You have 2 minutes remaining. The time will be yielded to the chair. And now the opposing team will have 3 minutes to present their arguments, and their time starts now.
Censorship breeds ignorance, not innocence. Freedom of speech is defined as the right to express information, ideas, and opinions, free of government's restriction based on content and not subject only to reasonable limitations, especially as guaranteed by the First and 14th Amendments in the United States Constitution. The keyword here being right. Citizens are protected by not only the First and 14th Amendments of the Constitution, but also by the 18 and 19 articles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which assure the rights to freedom of thought and freedom of expression. Furthermore, the government interventions that allegedly are meant to protect the people and national interests, but by censoring the flow of information and ideas, these actions potentially create more damage than the problem they want to solve. According to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, over 17 websites are being blocked by the government each year. The blocking and filtering by nation states of the global internet is a violation of the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which grants everyone the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Of course, we understand that information might be censored with good intent, but what is the purpose of doing so if the only thing that is happening is creating a sentiment of ignorance and insensitivity? Then again, we also understand that sharing critical information has consequences, but then again, it is not because of the censorship itself, but because of the nature of censored topic. Moving on to the subject of the newly popularized cancel culture, we do acknowledge the fact that canceling an individual may have great consequences, but the fact that people are speaking out and talking about topics that due to commodity we tend to avoid is nothing more than exercising an individual's constitutional rights. Though difficult, it is important to acknowledge to pressing issues in our society and blocking them. And censoring them is an essential process of healing. It is truly concerning that in the digital age where we have tools to communicate and express ourselves freely, we are still being censored. And the thought that this is the right thing to do is even more worrying than the aforementioned. To conclude, we believe that freedom of speech, thought, and expression are imperative rights that should be respected. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. You have 29 seconds left. They will be yielded to a chair. We will now be moving on to the questions round. Each team will have 6 minutes to ask questions to the other team. And the first team to ask questions will be the in favor team or the yes team. And your 6 minutes start now. Speaker Luana.
So Our team would like to know if your team maintains your position in including and taking into consideration censorship of fake media.
Speaker Esperanza.
Of course, fake media hasn't stopped. Even with the current censorship by the government, fake media is still going around, and there's essentially no way to stop the fake news that might arise. They might be stopped from popularizing like the media itself, but at the end of the day, there really can be nothing that can stop fake news. Censorship would not benefit the blocking of fake news or not, because at the end of the day, who really knows what is real and what is not?
Speaker Marco.
My team would like to know if your team support racist comments made on the social media.
Speaker Camila.
No, we don't support racist comments, but again, every person has the right to comment, and well, it's not good racist comments. Many people like do it because they have the right, but it's not right.
Speaker Roberta.
I would like to know that if nowadays there's a lot of a lack of peace, though there is censorship, how can you explain that there could be a future chaos? Because if they do not censor some things.
Speaker Esperanza.
Could you please repeat the question? I had a hard time understanding it.
Speaker Roberta.
Yes. Yes, if nowadays there's a lack of peace, though there is censorship, how can you explain that in the future could be a future chaos if they do not censor some things?
Speaker Esperanza.
It is my understanding that the lack of peace is not really due to the fact that information is being censored or not censored. It's due to the fact that the events that actually happening, the fact that some information is not being censored actually allows people to fight for their rights, which at the end of the day, we do want peace, but we do want our rights to be respected as well. So I do believe that the violence and the unrest that is happening nowadays is not actually due to the fact that information is not being censored, but the information itself.
Speaker Luana.
So regarding Speaker Camila's last answer, so your team supports hate speech being not censored and being available to all the public because of the right to comment, even if this hate speech is towards an individual user that did not do anything wrong?
Speaker Camila.
That this is the hate comments are totally wrong, but sadly the government doesn't censor that or censors other stuff, but like the government really doesn't censor personal comments.
Speaker Marco.
Well, my team understood that your other team supports racist comments because it's their liberty. But why if those racist comments incite others to do so and harm other civilians?
Speaker Esperanza.
Again, we condemn racist comments and comments against people because at the end of the day, that is also very wrong, as Camila already mentioned. But because of the Declaration of the Human Rights and the many rights that we are shared as citizens, we cannot legally block those people from sharing their opinions, because at the end of the day, even though they're wrong, it's still within their rights of speech to discuss their opinion and publish their opinion as well.
Speaker Roberta.
What do your team think about people's feelings because of these comments being harmful, controversial, and threatening to the security and social acceptance of certain communities?
Speaker Camila.
These comments should be censored because, well, if it harms other people, it should be censored. But again, people have the right to give their opinion, even though their opinion is bad and harmful.
Speaker Luana.
Taking into consideration Speaker Camila's most recent answer, where she stated that this comment should be censored, so has your team agreed that there are justifications of why media, comments, hate speech should be censored? And also the question would be, so do you believe that all fake media should be open to the public?
Speaker Esperanza.
Just two things. There are two different questions, or that confused me. There are two different questions that I need to answer, like from Speaker Luana, or just one.
Speaker Luana, could you clarify, please?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it was like not understandable enough. One was regarding, they were the same question, but it was one regarding Speaker Camila's last statement where she stated that these comments should be censored. And that same question, like going from that same question, so do you believe that fake media, because she said the same thing but in different statements. So my question was, so do you or do you not believe that all fake media should be censored?
Sorry, speakers, the time has run out. Now the against team or the no team will have 6 minutes to ask questions, and your time starts now. Speaker Esperanza.
We have talked a lot about the negative effects, like in your questions, of the fact that like no media censoring should happen. But what about the positive effects? Like, for example, racial disparities or injustices. Do you believe that that should be censored if it's for the security of the state?
Speaker Luana.
What our team supports is not the government or platforms lying or censoring real news. We believe that there is a justification for censoring certain types of media, news, information, hate speech. So our team would like to support what we have been previously stating.
Speaker Camila.
I would like to know what type of media or things does your team need, like thinks it's right to censor?
Speaker Roberta.
Well, we think it's not about in which application or in which media it's more likely to censor, but that the government thinks it's better to censor because of the good of the people and for security.
Speaker Esperanza.
As previously stated in our position in our initial speech, it was stated that by infringing the freedom of speech, you're also violating Articles 18 and Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Are you okay with violating those rights if it's for the protection of the state?
Speaker Luana.
Our team strongly believes that especially things like hate speech, fake media, and news should be allowed to be censored by platforms or governments. And also because many times, especially platforms, state in their terms and conditions that hate speech will be blocked or censored. So if it was stated, it is not infringing any rights when the person agreed to enter that platform and signed the terms and conditions.
Speaker Camila.
My question is, how does your team think that censored speech helps in security?
Speaker Marco.
Well, my team believes that the security will increase because of the fake news. There is a lot of misinformation and confusion in the population. So if we eradicate this fake news, people will actually know the truth.
Point of inquiry.
Established.
Can I compliment what Marco answered?
Sorry, Speaker, I
Can you
didn't
repeat
hear
again,
you
please?
very well, but did you ask to complement Marco's answer?
I want to compliment Marco's answer.
Yes, that would be in order.
I think that, as Marco said, security will increase because there wouldn't be chaos because of religions, because many chaos, I think that could be because of different types of religions and of ways of thinking, like point of view, and we could avoid those types.
Point of inquiry.
Established.
My teammate is frozen, right? It's not just my computer.
Yes, she's
Okay.
frozen.
Okay, thank
Maybe
you.
we can move on to the next question, and if she comes back, we can give her a chance to answer. Speaker Esperanza.
It was said by, I believe, both Marco and Roberta in the same manner that you believe that the security will increase because there will be no chaos created by fake news. But what about the real news? Governments have been known to censor actual news that happen just for security of their state or their best interest. Do you believe that this is justified and that this is right?
Speaker Luana.
We are aware of this happening, and we also would like to say that not only is censorship justified many times if it's going to improve security and stop riots that could harm a lot of people, and our team really stands by that fact that censorship can be justified.
Speaker Camila.
I didn't really get clear how can censorship help with people not getting harmed?
Speaker Luana.
Sadly, people are always going to get harmed because of different reasons, but censorship can improve this because, for example, if fake media is released that states that something really bad is going to happen and people start to panic and people start panicking all around public places and people start falling down, this can create riots where a lot of people get hurt. And this is an issue that has happened in the past where fake news gets released and then panic starts, and then the government has to clarify that it was fake news so people can calm down, and then people do realize it was fake news.
Thank you, speakers. The time for the questions round is up. We will now be having a 10-minute break so you can write your counter speeches. Welcome back, speakers. We will now start the counter speech round. You will have 3 minutes for your speeches, and the first team will be the in favor or yes team. Your time starts now.
Some arguments that the other team may say is that censorship in some way is not okay because there are real news that are censored. We just want to clarify that our position is clearly stating that the government is not going to censor everything, but they're going to censor what may cause chaos, like harmful comments, controversial, and threatening to security of certain communities. I think that the other team agreed with us in the aspect that some comments may be censored, such as hate speech, one of their team's main arguments. We think that if the government does not censor fake news or hate comments, there would be more chaos because there is lack of peace. We understand that the lack of peace is not mainly because of this, but censoring some news can help a little to calm people or not to create more chaos. If the Constitution has a law that says we must have freedom of speech, we're not against people expressing what they think, but we think that the government can consider which news or comments is best to censor. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. You have 1 minute and 50 seconds left. The time will be yielded to a chair. Okay, now the against or no team will have 3 minutes for their counter speech, and their time starts now.
We would like to begin by stating our position again and reiterating that we believe that freedom of speech should not be censored at any time, because it was said by the other team that censorship was used for the security of the citizens, but political censorship occurs when governments hold back information from their citizens. This is often done to exert control over the populace and prevent free expression that might foment rebellion. So actually the government is using their power to censor information that's not convenient for them and they're using for their own benefit. It was also stated by the opposing team that censoring information would also help prevent riots and protests, but the fact is that the riots are caused not by the fact that information was being censored, but by the information itself. What we mean by this is that protests happen, but even then, they're not harming anyone. The right to assemble is only exercising their constitutional rights. It was also stated that censoring would help create peace, but at what cost? The opposing team's main argument is surrounding hate speech, but the fact is that according to the American Library Association in the United States, hate speech is protected by the First Amendment. Courts extend this protection on the grounds that the First Amendment requires the government to strictly protect robust debates on matters of public concern, even when such debates evolve into distasteful, offensive, or hateful speech that causes others to feel grief, anger, or fear. Again, we do not condemn hate speech under any circumstance by the fact that blocking hate speech it's considered to be an infringement of one's rights as mandated by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Constitution. We do agree with the other team that it is inappropriate and hateful and we should not use it, but at the end of the day, that is not up to us because it falls under the protection of the First Amendment. To conclude, censorship has no justification and it's only infringing the right of freedom of speech. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. You have 1 minute and 25 seconds left. The time will be yielded to the chair. So we will now be moving on to a moderated debate. So the chair recommends a motion to open the debate for 30 minutes. Speaker Camila.
I would like to make a motion to open the moderated debate for 30 minutes.
Who seconds the motion? Speaker Luana seconds the motion. All of those in favor? Against? The motion passes. Speakers, the time for the debate starts now.
Like I did the motion, can I talk?
Yes, speaker.
Okay. In many times, the government has censored information that was inconvenient for them, like secrets of the government or the government committing a crime. What's your team's point of view in that?
Speaker Luana, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, our team would like to address something that was stated in the counter speech, which we understand that part of the argument where you stated that the blocking hate speech violates an amendment or something like that. But what does your team believe about when a citizen or a user signs in a platform that they are agreeing to use in the privacy policies or the terms and conditions, the fact that hate speech or anything that violates the guidelines can be blocked?
Speaker Esperanza.
That is regarding about each platform, but legally speaking, if we're talking about the United States of America, as I already mentioned, it is the First Amendment protects any form of hate speech because there is no real definition of hate speech legally in the United States, and therefore any form of hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. of the Constitution.
Speaker Roberta.
To Speaker Camila, who asked that if our position was like against or in favor of the government censoring certain comments, and we think that our position states that we are in favor of the government censoring certain comments, but we think that sometimes comments may not be censored, but some which are important, yes.
Speaker Marco.
To the speaker, Esperanza, what I just understood of the question is that the website of a app or website can put terms and conditions to the influencers or the persons who are using the app. So they have to follow up the rules and laws.
Speaker Luana.
Our team apologizes if this sounds repetitive, but the question was not answered in the questions round, so we would like to restate it. During the question round, Speaker Camila mentioned that she believes that even regarding freedom of speech, some comments should be censored, but your team states later on that freedom of speech should not be censored at any time. We would like a clarification if this was miscommunication from your team or did your position change? Thank you.
Speaker Camila.
I think my comment was misunderstood. I said that it was wrong to have those hate and racist comments, but at the end of the day, everyone has the right to speak and to give their opinion in whatever they want. So it was a misunderstood from your team, I think. So our position didn't change. We still think that everyone can say whatever they want, even if it's harmful. It doesn't mean it's right to say it, but at the end of the day, we don't have the control on that, and everyone can make their comments because it's their right.
Speaker Esperanza.
I do have a comment. I believe it was supported by your argument that you said that you didn't agree with a government censoring actual facts or real articles or pieces of media. But then again, I do believe it was said by Speaker Roberta that it does help maintain peace. So I would like to know what happens when the government maintains or holds back real information or real articles or real pieces of media to benefit them. What do you think in this case? Because at the end of the day, you argued it helped protect peace, but at what cost? Are you willing to build peace on a fake stance, or what is your argument against that?
Speaker Luana.
Answering a part of Speaker Esperanza's recent question, we would like to state that as a team, we believe that some of media and speech can be justified when censored. We never said that all of it. And what we believe that has the most justification of why or why not can be censored, it's hate speech, fake media, fake news, etc. We would also like to state that Dr. Kanwaljit Kaur, he is a renowned professor in the United States that has made studies on this topic and also supports the censorship of hate speech and fake media and fake news. Thank you.
Speaker Roberta.
We think that harmful or hate comments should be censored and that the government should decide which comments and should take responsibility with them, because it may cause chaos, like, for example, the racist protests in the United States lately.
Speaker Esperanza.
We do understand, but we already debunked that argument stating that it is protected. Hate speech is technically protected by the First Amendment of the United States of America. And then again, even though the rallies are wrong of the racist people, they are still exercising their constitutional rights and a part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the right to assemble. And regarding what Speaker Luana censored, I didn't get a straight answer to my question, and I would like clarification. My question was that you said it was justified, media censorship was justified to keep peace. But what happens when peace is kept under fake news, or you held information back that allows real news to circulate? Are you willing to build peace under fake circumstances?
Speaker Luana.
Apologies if the question was not answered correctly. Laws in different countries are very much different because of culture, language, government, everything in different countries. So there are some laws that allow the government to justify their censorship of real media. And we understand that these laws exist and that different governments have different laws that we must respect.
Speaker Camila.
To Luana, I would like to know what laws are the ones that you mentioned.
Speaker Luana.
Again, this is a very vague question. It has very wide answer and like that. But for example, just to give one or two examples, because it is very wide range of answers that could be said. In the Middle East, there are many laws that allow the government, for example, one of them is that the government is allowed to censor fake news or news against the government itself.
Speaker Esperanza.
In these cases, do you believe that censorship is justified? Because then again, the government might do this in order to protect peace, I believe was one of your arguments. But peace is built upon fake arguments and it blocks the flow of information, which then again infringes two of the human rights stated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What is your stance on this?
Speaker Luana.
We believe that media censorship, as previously stated, we believe that many of the media is justified when censored, not all. But regarding that specific situation, we do believe that if peace is going to be maintained and peace is going to be getting very out of hand, if the information went out or people will be getting hurt, it is justified.
Speaker Esperanza.
So it is of my understanding that your team agrees and exemplifies the fact that it is okay to violate a person's human rights if it is for the security of the states and the peace of the state. Is that correct?
Speaker Luana.
As previously stated, we will restate it again. Our team does not support all censorship of media. We do believe that some media and some speech can be justified when censored. And this is really important. This statement is really important to consider when asking questions about our team.
Speakers, the chair would like to encourage those who haven't spoken up to speak up so that we can bring more ideas to the table. Speaker Marco.
Well, I have several information about platforms who censor some specific topics. For example, in the 2018, Pinterest temporarily blocked search results from vaccination or content to both pins and both. Also, YouTube blocked some ads, which from the anti-vax videos, and Pinterest blocked the anti-vaccination movements on the social media platform because these were fake news and could cause a lot of misinformation.
Speaker Camila.
I would like to know, because my I don't have it really clear, in what types of in what type a point of inquiry?
Established.
How do you say en qué circunstancias?
Circumstances. Under which circumstances?
Under which, thank you. Under which circumstances it's okay the censorship of speech.
Speaker Roberta.
Well, answering to Camila's question, I think that the government should take into consideration if it is fake news or harmful comments or things that could cause chaos. And I also would like to know, why do you believe there shouldn't be censorship, taking into consideration that people can say what they think, as you wanted freedom of speech, but if the comment is harmful, it could be censored?
Speaker Esperanza.
Again, we've already debunked that argument saying specifically that in the United States, hate speech or hateful comments are protected under the First Amendment. And worldwide, I believe that is also protected under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we've already mentioned countless times. And to address Speaker Marco, I do understand that that is a valid point, that their platforms block or take away certain information, but then again, that is an infringement of human rights. And even though it might be justifiable if according to what you're saying and to what you believe, then again, if we look at it from the legal status, it is basically illegal.
Speaker Luana.
So as a team, we understand your take on hate speech and your arguments, but we would also like to ask your team, what is your position on when users sign a terms and conditions that allow a platform to censor certain speech, including what the platform deems is hate speech? Because if the user is signing that terms and conditions where the platform clearly states what is hate speech, inside that platform, then inside that platform, hate speech does exist and it is allowed to be censored.
Speaker Roberta.
Complementing with what Luana said, I personally don't understand how can somebody be against censorship when they accept in the terms and conditions that their comments can be censored.
Speaker Esperanza.
Terms and conditions are another different thing, and they are legally binding, as it is of my understanding. But then again, if they agree not to use hate speech, that is a censorship from the app itself. And I guess if we look at it from the legal term regarding where you are in the world, that would be technically illegal. If we want to look at technicalities.
Speaker Luana.
So if we're going to start going more into technicalities inside platforms, then technically inside a platform, if the person signs a terms and conditions, which is a legal document, and they signed, I have read the terms and conditions and agree to what it said, they are signing that they are allowing the platform to censor the hate speech that they put there, that the platform does not deem right for it to be put out in public. And because the citizen censored this, because the citizen agreed to this, we would like to know what's your take on this specific part. Thank you.
Speaker Marco.
Complementing what the Speaker Luana said, I totally agree with Speaker Luana, because the apps, well, you sign the terms and conditions, you have to take in mind that you can upload anything you want, because the app restricted, such as TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest, or examples, etc.
Speaker Esperanza.
It is my understanding, I've read, for example, of a popular app being Instagram, that the fact is that they don't support or allow. And as Speaker Luana said, if the user agrees to the terms, then they have the right to be censored, but that is within the platform. If we are talking about other platforms which do not specifically state its terms and conditions, then again, hate speech is allowed. And that is not, I guess that would be censorship, but that would be censorship within the platform. And as I mentioned, when I talk technicality, then that would be protected by the First Amendment of the United States of America.
Speaker Camila.
Complementing what my partner said, there's also people who don't agree with this, and there's people like who don't agree with this and comment what they want and say what they want. And in this case, if you don't agree with that and your comments are being censored, this is a violation of the human rights.
Speaker Marco.
It isn't a violation of the human rights because you're signing terms and conditions from the app or website, which you have to follow.
Speaker Luana.
So just our team would like to re-ask this question just to get the answer clear so that we do not misinterpret any of your words. So your team agrees that inside a platform, if the user signed a document including terms and conditions, hate speech that is not deemed correct by that platform is allowed to be censored, meaning that it is justified, proving our point.
Speaker Esperanza.
We are saying that it is, but we do not agree that it should happen, because at the end of the day, we're arguing that media censorship should not happen. And even though it is argued as Luana has previously stated several times, we do believe that it shouldn't, because according to the Declaration of Human Rights and to the First Amendment of the United States, it shouldn't. So that is a breach in, like, from the platforms themselves into what is legally allowed or not. So our argument is that it does happen, as research has proven, but it shouldn't, because at the end of the day, it is a violation of human rights and it blocks freedom of speech. But we do not agree with your position either.
Speaker Roberta.
I just want to restate again, because I think that this is extremely important, that we're not saying that everything should be censored, but we think that comments that can cause issues or fake news, it's recommendable to censor them because they can cause chaos or issues.
Speaker Luana.
Just to state this, and please, any of the opposing team or my teammates correct me if I'm wrong, but we are not arguing if censorship should or should not happen. We are discussing if it is justified or not. And our team believes that there are many types of censorship that can be justified.
Speaker Esperanza.
If you want me to restate my statement, I will, with no problem. We believe that it's not justified, even though, as you said, it's part of the community guidelines. It's not justified, again, because it violates many different articles, the human rights and the Constitution have been mentioned several times. And then again, to Roberta, we understand your points. We do understand where you're coming from. But then again, if you decide to censor media with the intent of keeping peace, at what cost are you keeping peace? You're breeding peace under ignorance and insensitivity, which then again doesn't benefit anybody, because that peace is built under a fragile base. And with that, who can keep peace for how long can we really keep the peace?
Speaker Camila.
In addition to what my partner said, censorship, it's not the best way to have peace, because if you censor someone's comment or like that, they're gonna start complaining, and there's gonna, instead of like having peace, you're gonna like create another problem. So definitely censoring, it's not the right path to peace.
Speaker Marco.
Well, Speaker Camila said that censoring fake media isn't going to bring peace. But what if a person makes fake news about racist comments? This will affect the peace between all the country and even harm another civilians.
Speaker Roberta.
Well, we think that a debate between, for example, religions will not solve any problem. It will just be a waste of time, because nor of the opponents will change point of view. So it will be just a waste of time and of energy from the people and from the government. So I think, like, for example, these types of religion comments could be censored, for example.
Speaker Esperanza.
I do understand where you're coming from, Speaker Roberta, but because it seems like waste of time to you, cannot speak for the majority of the people or the entirety of the population. So then again, by doing that, you will be blocking the freedom of speech and also the freedom to practice your religion, to express it freely, which then again is part of the article of the Universal Convention of Human Rights. So even though I do understand your point and see where you're coming from, it is insensitive to speak for the whole population regarding your personal opinions.
Speaker Luana.
Our team would like to state that we are not against, not at all. We're sorry if that came off as a different way. We are not against the 18th Amendment in the Human Rights Declaration. What we do believe is that inside platforms, especially if something is signed being a bounding legal document because the person agreed to it on their own terms, it is justified.
Speaker Esperanza.
But then again, is it really justified? Because the only ones who have the power to deem what is good or what is not, or what is hateful or what is not, are the owners or the people who manage the platform. So then again, can we really trust their subjectivity? Because at the end of the day, what might seem like something hateful to me might be something hateful to you, Speaker Luana, or to Speaker Camila, or to anyone else in this room. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, can we really trust a person's will, or do they have a really defined concept of what is hate and what is not hate? Because at the end of the day, by defining something as hate, which couldn't be, is censoring speech and therefore censoring communication and blocking the flow of ideas, which is part of something that we should all have the right to do.
Speaker Roberta.
Well, I think that censoring some comments will not eliminate the ideas given by people, because as we stated before, we are in favor of that censoring some type of comments is justified.
Speaker Camila.
Yes, some comments can be harmful, but again, and reinforcing what my partner Esperanza said, we something that can seem hurtful for you cannot be hurtful for another person. So it's also part of the human rights constitution, and we should all have the right to tell our opinion, and I'm in agree that those comments are bad and can be harmful, but it's all we can't control what people say, and they're all the right to make their opinion and share it.
Speaker Luana.
As a team, we would like to state that we understand your comment, but we would like to state that the platform's goal is not to, this is to Speaker Esperanza's last comment, that the platform's goal is not to block the flow of speech. The platform's goal is to ensure the correct use of their platform, which, as previously stated, if the users signed terms and conditions, which is a legal document, they should be allowed to censor this type of speech.
Speaker Roberta.
I totally agree with what Luana said, and want to compliment that we think that when you already read the terms and conditions and accepted that it is okay for the platform to censor some of your comments because of whatever reason could be, we cannot be against it, because you are already stating that you're saying that you know that, and that you're okay with the website or the platform censoring some of your comments.
Speaker Marco.
Yeah, totally agree with the speaker, Roberta. The apps and companies should, they know what what there is wrong and what is good, because it's their company and app, so they can decide which comments are racist for them, because you sign a paper or condition terms which you allow the company and app to do so.
Speaker Esperanza.
I do agree with what Speaker Marcos said in a sense, but at the same time, the one that determines what is hateful speech or what is considered wrong at the end of the day are the managers of the platform. So something I might say that might not be hateful might be hateful to them, because it is subjective. In the terms and conditions, it's never stated what terms are specifically not to be used or what is not to be said, because it only states, for example, I'm using Instagram as an example. It only states hateful message or something racist or something of the sort. It never states exactly what should happen and what should not happen, or what be said or what not be said. So at the end of the day, it is subjective, and by allowing subjectivity to get in the way of communication, we are blocking the flow of ideas and the flow of speech, infringing many human rights and what is protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Speaker Luana.
We understand your speech, your team's point of view and that, but as stated in my last comment, the platform's goal is not to block flow of speech, but to ensure the correct use of their platform. And also, as previously stated, if the users sign the document stating that the platform should be allowed to censor any type of hate speech that they deem is hate speech, then it was the user who signed and agreed to this agreement.
Speaker Camila.
But again, something that can be harmful for me can sometimes not be harmful for you. And also there's many people who don't agree to sign it, so they really don't. So if you censorship something that of someone who doesn't agree with that or didn't sign it, it's like violating the human rights of freedom of speech in some way, because if he doesn't agree or doesn't really sign it, it's not correct to
13
to
Morris.
to censorship, something like that.
Speaker Roberta.
We think that at the end, for example, in a platform, if you accepted the terms and conditions, users who accepted them are aware of what they accepted, and if they did not read it, well, they are saying that they read it, because in the button where it says it to accept, it says I read the terms and conditions and accept them. And to Speaker Camila, that she stated that not everyone is okay with the terms and conditions. But for example, Facebook, more than 50% of the population has Facebook. So more than 50% of the population are okay or seem to be okay with these terms and conditions.
Speaker Marco.
I partially agree with Speaker Camila, in which things that are good or bad can be very subjective, but the app can't risk all this because there is a lot of variety of users in the app, so they are having a good time in the app, so they have to protect them so that they can't be offended.
Speaker Esperanza.
I do understand Speaker Marco's point, and while I do see reason in that, it's still not like abiding to what freedom of speech truly means. I do understand the purpose of the app is trying to keep a safe environment for all, but they're doing so in a wrongful way. And I want to address something that Speaker Luana said in her previous comments, saying that it was not the purpose of the platform to block or infringe freedom of speech. Even though it's not their purpose or their focus, it's something they're doing as a consequence of trying to protect their users. They're trying to block hateful speech or comments that may not sit right with the administration of the said platform or different users. So at the end of the day, even though it's not the main focus, it's still part of the problem, and it's a direct consequence of trying to protect by blocking freedom of speech.
Speaker Luana.
I would like to add a little bit more to Speaker Roberta's last comment regarding Speaker Camila's other comment. If they don't agree, if users don't agree, they shouldn't use the platform. And usually in most platforms, if they don't sign or agree to the terms and conditions, the app cannot be used. And especially when they don't agree and they signed it and are now using the app but are saying they don't agree, well, they should be aware that while clicking I agree to use the app, they were technically agreeing, and the app has them signed in as if they agreed to the terms and conditions. And to Speaker Esperanza's last comment, we understand that point of view, but as Speaker Marco said, that hate speech is very subjective, and the app is just trying to maintain the users have and ensure the correct use of their app and platform.
Thank you, speakers. The time for the moderated debate is up. You now have two choices. The first one is to extend it for 10 minutes, or the second one is to just go on with the debate. So the floor is open, speakers. Are there any motions?
Motion to start the presidential debate.
That motion is not required, but we will start the presidential debate now. So remember, in this part of the debate, you will have 2 minutes to answer each one of the questions that we will be making to you. So my first question goes to the in favor team, and it is: censorship of speech has been used in the past to manipulate public opinion, for example, in Nazi Germany, the USSR, and even the United States. What effect do you think this can have on the future use of censorship of speech, considering new trends like cancel culture? Speaker Luana.
Okay, so we understand that point that it has been used in the past to infringe on media that gets out, but we would also like to bring the fact into we would also like to bring into light the fact that, for example, talking about the Nazis that were mentioned afterwards, after the Holocaust, being it a very sensitive topic for Jews, the media decided to start censoring this for them because it was a trigger for them, not because they didn't want them to know something about them, but because it triggered them.
Thank you. I would like to pose the same question to the against team. What effect do you think this can have on the future of censorship, considering new trends like cancel culture? Speaker Esperanza.
We do believe that if we try to censor different types of media that are happening exceptionally and essentially focusing on cancer culture, then the true information will be censored from going out. And even though cancer culture can be very harmful and toxic at the end of the day, it is important that people are getting past formalities and commodities to talk about the issues that matter and that are hard to talk about. And if we decide to censor these media or try to stop people from speaking out or voicing their opinion at the end of the day, we won't be making progress towards understanding society and becoming better, eliminating the people who are damaging us, like as a society, or who have done bad things that need to be accounted for, they need to be held accountable for. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is for the in favor team. Do you think that the benefits of censorship outweigh its negative consequences, or vice versa? And please explain why. Speaker Roberta.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course. Do you think that the benefits of censorship are greater than the negative impacts of censorship, or vice versa, and why? Speaker Roberta.
Well, we think that that there are more benefits from for some censorship, as we are in favor of justifying some of them, but not all of them. We think that it can evade chaos, as I mentioned before, and that, for example, as I said, the example of religions, there would the two sides of the debate will not get into an agreement. So I think it is a waste of time and energy. So I think that it will have more benefit than negative consequences.
Thank you. I would like to pose the same question to the other team. Do you
Yeah.
think that the benefits of censorship are greater than the negative impacts, or vice versa? And please explain why.
We think the censorship of speech, it has more negative effects than the actual good ones, because many times the government just use their power to censorship, which is not legal, to just like censor the information that's not convenient for them, or the things like for their personal benefits, and also because every individual has the right to express their opinion in the way they want, and according to the human rights, they should have their right to have their opinion.
Thank you. My next question goes to the in favor team. Aren't you afraid that censorship of speech can lead to totalitarianism? Speaker Marco.
No, we don't think so, because our team is in favor of not censoring all information, only fake news and racist comments or hate comments, which can destroy the peace on the country.
Thank you, Speaker. My next question goes to the same team. Aren't you concerned that the cancel culture can ruin an innocent life, since the people who are victims don't have the chance to defend themselves? Speaker Luana.
Talking specifically about the cancel culture, we do not believe that this will be an issue, because if hate speech was censored in that same platform, it would not be an issue. And we do, as Speaker Marco said in the last answer that also connects to this one, we do not support the censorship we do not support the censorship of all media, just the ones that are justified.
Thank you. My next question goes to the against team. Certain ideals, such as Hitler's anti-Semitism rhetoric, can harm society a lot. Don't you think individuals may get harmed if certain types of activism or political rallying are not censored? Speaker Esperanza.
We do believe that these might seem hurtful. They might seem hurtful to certain groups, which they are, but at the end of the day, it's still freedom of speech and something that must be respected because each individual has the right to speak their mind, even if it is harmful. Again, it's subjective. Of course, there's things that affect more negatively than others, and they can be clearly more seen as bad more than the others, like they have less subjectivity, but at the end of the day, they're still protected under the fact that they can say whatever they want under freedom of thought and freedom of speech articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Thank you. My next one goes to the same team. Why do you think that our modern society has established boundaries for some topics? So for example, going beyond a certain point is considered radical and unfit for society.
Can you please just say the question?
Of course. Why do you think that our modern society has established boundaries regarding certain topics? So for example, arguments beyond a certain point are considered radical and aren't viewed as good arguments by society.
Because some of them make us uncomfortable, and we really don't want to, like many people really don't want to talk about it. And it's more about people thinking that it's like a taboo or something. And also I think that radicalism is an illusion because it's subjective.
Thank you. My next question goes to Luana. First, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a controversy that happened last month. Basically, Twitter decided to ban Kayleigh McEnany, who is the White House press secretary's Twitter account, because she reposted a news article from the New York Post. And Twitter said that this is because the article was fake news, although experts hadn't yet certified it as fake news. So what is your stance on issues like this? Did Twitter do the right thing, or should they have investigated it further before censoring?
Okay, so my stance on this was that Twitter actually did the right thing, because if in the platform guidelines, if I'm not mistaken and our research is correct, Twitter does have that in their platform guidelines that they are allowed to censor anything that is fake news and like that. So if they were not sure and wanted to ensure that there was not havoc, maybe it was the smartest thing to do before havoc started. And then if it was proven not to have been fake news, they could have just not like removed the censorship, but that was the smartest thing in the moment.
Thank you, Speaker. My next question goes to Marco. Oftentimes, the most radical ideas that we hear in society eventually become the ones that impact us the most. So for example, at first, feminists were viewed as radicals, and now it is a very important ideal that many people defend in our society. So I wanted to ask you, is it wrong not to hear radical perspectives if they have the possibility to improve our lives?
Well, I think that it can be both. Well, actually, if their organization don't make hate speech toward a person or beliefs, it's totally fine, even though it can be so radical, but it can be changed for our own good.
Thank you, Speaker. My next question goes to Roberta. I wanted to ask you, during this election, Donald Trump has claimed multiple times that the big media corporations are hunting him and prosecuting him. So I wanted to know, how can we make sure that biased perspectives are avoided when detecting hate speech, mainly in the political field?
Can you restate the question, please?
Of course. Considering that Donald Trump has accused the media of persecuting him and being against his arguments, how can we make sure that biased perspectives aren't considered when detecting hate speech? So how can we make sure that our analyzers are unbiased?
Well, I think that that the media was trying like to maintain peace between the president and between the citizens, because sometimes when there are news that are very relevant to the people and to the country, because like it's an important topic, I think that sometimes the citizens like want an answer and want to know why. So I think that the media did good, and I think that also there's relevant information. They do not like they sometimes act without knowing the complete information, and that's why. And I think that's why. And that's why we're in favor of. I mean, we say that sometimes we can justify the censorship.
Thank you. The next question goes to Speaker Esperanza. Should extremist groups, such as Islamic radicals, be banned or supervised, as they may pose a threat to society if left unmonitored?
Then again, that goes into something different. If they want to express their opinion and their thoughts as an organization, then that is up to them. And even though what they say might be deemed harmful, at the end of the day, they're still protected and they can still say whatever they want. But if they do decide to take action, then that falls into another different thing, which doesn't go into censorship or freedom of speech at all. And then if they do pose an actual threat to society, then they should be stopped. But if it all concerns just communication and expressing their thoughts and their ideas, then I do believe that they shouldn't be censored or monitored.
I have a small follow-up. So let's say there is an Instagram account that is known to be recruiting for terrorist organizations. Do you think it should be censored or not?
If there is proof that they have actually been recruiting people and that is concrete proof and actual factual proof, then of course they should be censored or removed from the account. But following Luana's argument that hateful accounts or hateful speech would be blocked, then that wouldn't even happen in the first place.
My next question is for Camila.
Sure.
During the 2016 election, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump claimed that foreign nations were using fake Twitter accounts to promote the other candidate in the United States elections. So if we are not going to be censoring the media, how are we going to avoid this from happening? So how are we going to make sure elections remain intact from foreign interference?
Well, they have over right to speak, so we should let them speak. Like there's really no way to stop it. Even if the government continues censoring them, they're still gonna do it. So it is wrong. But again, they got all the right to talk and express their opinion, and sadly we cannot make nothing about that, because even if we did censor them, they will again keep doing it.
Thank you, Speaker. With that, we conclude the presidential debate. Now you will have a 10-minute break so you can work on your resolution speeches. Welcome back, speakers. We will now be moving on to resolution speeches. Remember, your speeches have 3 minutes as time limit, and you need to state if your position has changed or remained the same. So the first team will be the in favor or yes team, and your time starts now.
Our team didn't change their opinion on censoring some comments and news. We want to make clear that we are not in favor of censoring all media, just for specific reasons. The government can censor fake news, as it will cause great confusion and misunderstanding in the population, but also can censor the media that attacks people. So if they want to invite another people to incite this hate speech and disturb the peace. Also, we think that if an app put laws and terms to use their app, the users have to follow the rules. Hate speech can be very subjective, but the app wants to make sure that every user don't be offended and can have an enjoying time in the app. For last, using the opposing team answering the presidential debate, they say that if there's proof about hate speech involved, it should be removed or blocked. So I think by this comment, I think that they're partially agree enough in some certain way. We want to thank you for your opinion and attention at this event.
Thank you, speaker. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. The time will be yielded to a chair. Now the against team or the no team has 3 minutes and your time starts now.
Thank you. Regarding the issue of media censorship, is justified or not, we remain with our original position. Each individual is entitled to share and divulge their own opinion. Our position did not change because throughout the course of the debate, many of the facts that were presented by the opposing team were valid, and we do understand and agree with some of the things mentioned. However, they failed to acknowledge the many infringements of human rights and justify them by repeating points that were previously debunked. As individuals, we have no entitlement to determine what hate speech is taken into account, since there is no legal definition of the aforementioned, which again goes into the subjectivity part. With fake news, though harmful, they cannot be censored because they're protected under various laws and articles. Though we understand that the opposing team does not condemn all media censorship, legally they're infringing the aforementioned rights. And with that, we would like to say that we do not agree with the other position, and we remain with our own. It was also stated that censorship would lead to peace, but at what cost? To conclude, using the words of the opposing team, censorship was meant to ensure the security of the citizens or the state. But the fact is that censorship is a double-edged sword. We maintain peace, but with a base built with lies, and with the only mean being to control the citizens and prevent from exercising their constitutional rights and liberties. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. You have 1 minute, 45 seconds left. The time will be yielded to a chair. And with that, we conclude the session. Thanks for coming, and you had very good arguments, so congratulations.